Hey everyone, Bill Miller here, talking about emotional abuse, domestic violence, verbal abuse, psychological abuse, kind of all the above, how to work through it as the abuser. My wife left me 6 or 7 weeks ago now, so I've been doing this pretty much every day for 6 or 7 weeks. Getting stronger. Most days I get stronger for sure. Education helps a lot. It helps to understand, why we are the way we are, when it started, how it started, because learning all of that enables us to then fix it, to unstart it, if you will. All of this behavior is learned for all of us, every single one of us. The abusive patterns, the domestic violence, they're all learned behaviors. None of us were born abusers. We were all born the same, perfect, beautiful children. And then it's our life that turns us into whoever we become or whatever we become. Obviously, you take responsibility, as you get older, but there also needs to be a lot of education on how the brain works, how patterns work, how behaviors work, how your core beliefs work, your automatic responses work. You've got your ancient brain, and then you've got your frontal. How all that comes into play when you're reacting, when you're in a relationship and you're reacting to adverse conditions, an argument, a fight, something comes up and you react in a negative way that causes a fight. You start blaming your wife, she starts blaming you, things escalate. A lot of it comes from just not really knowing how things work. I can tell you right now, in 7 weeks, I've learned. I do 3 to 5 hours of therapy and learning personal therapy, group therapy, reading, church, reading the Bible, domestic violence classes. I do it every day, and I will do it every day for a long time. The choice is going to be a lifetime. For the rest of my life, I need to wake up, basically make a choice that to be who I am, be who I am today, not who I was, not who, whatever happened in my life molded me into and turned me into the abusive person that I was. Now that I've acknowledged my abuse and have learned how to overcome it, how to get the anger out of my body, how to understand and forgive my past, so I don't bring it forward into the future or into today. Now that I've learned all those things, now it's just up to me to keep practice my problem-solving steps, my warning signs, my noticing or recognizing my automatic responses, I call them auto reply. When something happens and your first instinct is to do or say whatever it may be, that's an auto reply. That's something that you embedded into your brain. Lord knows how many years ago. For some of us, I went through a traumatic event when I was 10. I probably developed some of these defense mechanisms when I was 10 years old, and I still use them because I've never been smart enough or I've never learned how to change them. So I've just always relied on those defense mechanisms, that I developed as a 10-year-old, which is, of course, get mad, throw a temper tantrum, yell, scream, and cuss until I get my way. That's what a 10-year-old does, hopefully not, but, emotionally they're not developed on any level. So my auto response, probably started when I was that age, and I still, as a 49-year-old, until I've gone through what these past couple of months, I was still relying on those defense mechanisms, and core beliefs and auto responses to push people away so I didn't get hurt, and to you know, belittle my wife and insult my wife to try to make her feel worse about herself because I had no self-esteem, and I didn't feel good about myself, and so naturally I want her to feel bad about herself. Otherwise she's just going to leave me as soon as she realizes that I'm not good enough for her. It's ugly, it's stupid, it sounds dumb, but it's how it works. I can't even tell you all the things that I love about my wife that I made her feel like shit for. It's like the better, you know, she doesn't believe me when I say this, but you know, now that I guess I have a lot more self-worth to me, and a little more, you know, I suppose a lot more self-esteem on the inside. I'm actually proud of everything that I'm doing and everything that I've discovered about myself and the changes I've made and the steps I'm taking. I work my ass off. I cry freaking hundreds of times because I've gone through my life. I've relived almost every traumatic event that I've ever experienced, trying to you know, forgive it, turn it over to God, understand it better, just so I don't carry all this shit with me, you know, because those are the types of things that come out in an argument or whatever. Your anger that you've been lugging around with you for 40 years or whatever the case may be, you know. Yeah, so I'm actually very proud of myself. Of whether or not my wife ever comes back to me, I'm a 1,000 times better person today than I was 2 months ago. I don't know how I quantify that. It's not 1,000 times better, but I'm immeasurably better, happier on the inside, more confident on the inside today than I've ever actually been in my whole life. And that's unfortunately thanks to my wife leaving me and devastating me. I still hope and pray every day that that God brings us back together, because I want her to see, I want her to know what it's like to be my wife with this me, the me that now makes my own choices and controls my own behaviors and patterns. Like I've kind of reestablished my life in a way. Now I'm very aware of my actions, of my behaviors and patterns, and anything that I do that I just do because it's what I've always done, I completely reevaluate it. And so many things that I've done for my whole entire life I've just stopped doing because they don't really make any sense. They've never made sense. I just did them because it's what I've always done, and that's how a lot of us live our lives. It's normal. I mean, it's not abnormal. I'm not different than most people in that regard. Most people, if you ask them why they do this, that, or the other thing, they're just like, I don't know, I've been doing that my whole life. It's just who I am or what I am. And it's like, I don't know, it's not. Like, you just haven't really, as a grown-up, you haven't really decided to, kind of reset and say, look at yourself and, deeply and say, yeah, the way I'm doing this doesn't make sense, and that's not who I want to be. And so that's kind of what I've been doing is, I go through my whole life. I've gone through my whole life. My drinking is a good example. I drank my whole life, starting at fourth grade, I think. I drank my whole life. I've taken breaks and I've stopped here and there to get back in shape and to kind of prove to myself that I could stop. But I always went back. Why? I don't know. It was normal. It was just normal. To drink is just normal. Like, I don't know. But now that I'm, resetting my life, just drinking doesn't make sense to me anymore. I attribute a lot of losing my wife to my drinking. Number one, it was very problematic. It was front and center in my life. A lot. It caused a lot of tension between us, unresolved tension. The only way to relieve tension is to solve a problem. my drinking caused a lot of tension between my wife and I, a shit ton of tension. It's hard to drink and and have all this anger and stuff inside you and not have it come out. Like, you just lose your filter when you drink. You lose your inhibition. You lose your decision making. That's all of us. That's not just alcoholics. It's all of us. I don't know if I'm an alcoholic or not, and I don't really care, because right now I don't know that I'm ever going to take another drink again. So if I am an alcoholic, I'm an alcoholic that may or may not ever have another drink of alcohol again in my life. And if I'm not, it's still the same thing. It doesn't matter if I am or not by definition or by whatever. I just know that I'm done with drinking because it doesn't make sense in my life. I feel like I'm better than that now. I don't want it, don't need it. It's not anything that makes my days better or makes playing around a golf more fun, or I don't know. Just everything I did, I drank, and that was just normal. And now it's just not normal anymore. And that's just how it's going to be permanently. I would never, me being in control of my life now. I think I would never put myself in a position to say I decide to drink tomorrow. I decide to drink tomorrow. I drink some beers throughout the day or whatever. I get a buzz on, and my wife decides tomorrow that she wants to work things out, and let's sit down and talk and see if we can work things out. And I have been drinking, and so I'm not of a clear mind. You know what I mean? Like, I just lost my wife again because of drinking. Like, because I wasn't of a clear mind, because I just decided to drink again for some stupid reason. It's never going to be a position I put myself in again. I spent half my life, I spent 40 years drinking, and I'm going to spend the next 40 not drinking, because it's just it's never done anything for me. It's never done anything good for me. It's done a lot of bad for me. Anyway, that was kind of a tangent. I get it, but so anyway, tonight, I just finished chapter 10 in my book, The Choices Program, which is the How to Stop Hurting the People Who Love You book. This is the domestic violence book that the state of California sponsors, I guess. That's what they put their domestic abusers through. It's a 52-week program. I'm almost halfway through it at this point. I've been working on it for about a month, but obviously I've accelerated almost all my things, because I want to be ready for the day that that God brings my wife back into my life. I want to be as healthy as I can possibly be, and as knowledgeable as I can be, and as prepared as I can possibly be to treat her the way I should have been treating her from the beginning, and to make her the happiest woman on the face of the earth, and feel like the luckiest woman on the face of the earth, because she's with a man that figured his shit out and knows how to treat her, and knows how to make her happy, and loves her and accepts her for who she is, and encourages her to be herself. Anyway, that's my mission, and that's why I do 4 or 5 hours every day of therapy. So chapter 10 is more about problem solving. Obviously, problem solving is a giant deal, because every relationship in the world has problems. Every person in the world has problems. And you have two choices. Sticking to relationships, you have two choices. If you have a problem in your relationship, that problem inevitably causes tension. If you do not resolve that problem, then the tension stays inside you. And that problem will undoubtedly surface again down the road at some point, because you both just put it inside you and swallowed it, buried it, whatever you'd want to say. And sure as shit, 6 months from now, that problem's going to come out. because you didn't resolve it, and it's just inside there somewhere. It doesn't magically go away. It never does. I shouldn't say it never does. From things that I read, you don't ever expect it to just magically go away. Even if it does for you, it may not for her, and now she's got something weighing on her. You get enough of those things compounded, and you now are just carrying around a shit ton of stress and anger and doubt and insecurities, or whatever the case may be. And it's all because you haven't really mastered problem solving yet. So when you solve a problem, you have just kind of a set list of steps that you basically have to go through. I'm sure you get better and better at it, and you can kind of skim through a couple of them. But the reality is, just the first one being is identifying the real problem. Sometimes, as an example, we'll use something I criticize my wife a lot about, and that's the way she dressed. She dressed very provocatively, her very short shorts, crop top shirts, and she just has the world's most amazing body. And I made her, the problem I had with it that I said was that that's I'm trying to like it's inappropriate for work. We own a bar, and like it's inappropriate for work. She bends over all day long at work. She reaches up over her head all day long at work. Customers get to see parts of her body that I really feel like, as my wife, I don't really want these customers staring at my wife's that close to her private parts. It made me uncomfortable, so I made her feel like, I said, just among other things, among other abusive things, I called her a slut, straight up. Like, she's not that wasn't the problem. She's not a slut on any fucking level in the world. She's not a slut. But that's what I said, to make her feel like shit about the way she dresses, to make her feel I told her, I've told her that she thrives on attention, getting attention from strangers, from all these guys that sit here and watch her bend over and make comments. They're all drinking and they're all staring at her while she bends over, and so many of them make comments, and I accuse her of thriving off of that, of feeding off of that, of those comments making her feel good about herself. So in order for us to resolve this particular problem, we can't focus on me saying like she thrives off of that attention, so how are we going to fix that problem? How are we going to fix that? Because that's not the real problem. The real problem is I was insecure. The real problem is, there is legitimacy to, like, I don't like other people seeing that much of my wife. Like I would never show people that much of me, out of respect for her, but it is totally different, guys and girls, the way they dress. It just is. It's hard for guys to understand it, and I'm not the only one there. But the real reason is, the real actual problem is her dressing that way made me feel insecure. It made me feel like I wasn't giving her enough attention. So she was seeking it elsewhere. And it made me feel like I was afraid I was going to lose her. Like, I was afraid, she was going to get hit on by everyone, and she was going to decide one of them was better than me, and I was going to lose her. Those were the real issues. Not that I thought she was slutty or provocative or leading people on. I didn't believe those things. I wholeheartedly believe she would never cheat on me. She married me for a reason. We're both in our 40s. You know, like, she's not gonna marry me and then go cheat with some guy. You know, like, I'm not gonna marry her and then, you know, cheat with some gal. Like, we're, you know, never is that even a thing. But I made it a thing because it was an easier way to make her change her clothes without me telling her that the real reason is I'm insecure. I'm insecure and I'm afraid I'm gonna lose her. And so please dress a little more conservatively so guys don't, you know, make the comments they make, which make me feel insecure about myself. I mean, which make me feel a certain way because I'm insecure about myself, you know. So identifying the real problem is a big one. Obviously, all of these are a big one. If you're gonna problem solve, you gotta problem solve. So using this as an example, the fake problem is, hey, you're doing this to get attention because you're a slut and you get confidence from guys hitting on you. That's what I made her feel like. That's a fake problem that can't be resolved because that's not even the actual problem. So in order for us to actually resolve this problem, I've got to be honest. She has to be honest with hers and I have to be honest with mine. And the honest to God truth is, like, if I were to say like to her, honey, to be perfectly honest with you, right now I don't feel like I have enough confidence in myself to listen to guys make the comments that they make and have it not affect me negatively. You know, like, I don't have a lot of self-esteem on the inside, and I'm scared to death that you're gonna realize that I'm not the one for you and you're gonna leave me. And I wanna work through that, but right now that's how I feel when, you know, when you wear such small clothing and I have to hear all the comments that guys make. It makes me scared that you're going to decide one of those guys is better than me and leave me because I'm not good enough. That would have been the honest problem. And I don't know what her solution would be, but I bet it would be a lot more sympathetic. I bet she'd be a lot more willing to work with me on it, whether it be building my confidence, you know, reassuring me a little, you know, helping work through my insecurities. So, you know, versus me making her, or not making her feel, me trying to make her feel like shit for the way she dresses, like a horrible person for the way she dresses, because that's not how I actually felt. It was just my abusive way to, you know, like, because I was too much of a chicken shit to tell her the goddamn truth, you know. So identifying the real problem. You gotta identify the real problem if you're gonna fix it. If I identified the real problem with my wife and we came up with some solutions, like, hey, when, you know, like at work, maybe we can, you know, maybe she's willing to dress a little more conservative at work because everyone here is drinking, and drinking just causes people to say very ugly things. I mean, they probably think them, but when they're drinking, they actually say them, you know what I mean? Like, so maybe just when she's at work, she could be a little more conservative, and then outside of work, game on, you know, like, however you want to dress or whatever. I don't know what they could, you know, like what a compromise could have been or would have been, but I bet she would have been a hell of a lot more willing to work on it if I was honest with her and we identified the actual problem and not a bunch of fake problems that I made up. Okay. The next step number 2, would be me telling my wife how I view the problem. And then step 3 would be her telling me how she views the problem. It might be the same, it might be different. I might view the problem, I might let her know, like, I view the problem as you know, like, whatever it would be, you know, and hopefully she would be understanding to how I view it. And the way I view it, I feel like would be, like I just said, I don't have a lot of, I feel insecure because I don't have a lot of inner self-esteem right now. It's something I would like to work on, and it's something that I'll try to get better at, but right now I don't have a ton of it, and that's what I'm dealing with. And then it would also be her telling me how she views it. She might view it as like, what, I know you think, it sounds like you think that there's a chance I would, find another guy, but I married you for a reason, and I swear to God that will never happen. I'll stick with you until the day I die, because that's what that's what we do when we got married. We promise that to one another, and there's not another man alive that could ever take me from you, as long as I treat her right, you know what I mean? So she, that she could view the problem as me just not really understanding how much she really does love me, and how she would never do that to me. And if I understood that, then it probably would help. If I understood how she feels, then maybe it would help, resolve the problem like that. Number 4 would be working together on as many solutions as possible. One of them maybe dress a little more conservative. Another one might be, I don't know, we've just come up with 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 solutions, whether they're realistic or silly or not. Like, when it's something on the bottom shelf in here, then she makes me get it, so she doesn't have to bend over and, have everyone stare at her ass, or, like whatever it is, throw a bunch of solutions out there. Just throw them all out there. It doesn't matter if you go with them or not, just throw them out there. Anything that you think might work or might be feasible or might down the road be feasible, just throw it out there, both of you. Just write them down. There might be 8 or 10 of those bitches. And then the next one would be, work together to kind of mutually pick a couple of them to try a couple of your solutions. Like, I'll, like whatever they are, mutually kind of pick some of your solutions, try them, and see if they work. And then lastly, number 6 would be, talk about it again in a week and find out, like, hey, yeah, this actually works out just fine. Like, neither one of us have, and the tension is gone. We both feel okay with the solutions that we chose, and problem solved. No more tension, no anger that's going to come out down the road. We both feel good. We both feel included in the solution making process, and now you can chalk that up to a problem solved together, which is vital. You both feel good about it. You both feel equally important. There's no tension. You're right back in the okay zone, and you can move on with your life. And it's that's how you solve a problem right there. No other ways needed. So identify the problem. Tell her how I view the problem, how I see it. She can tell me how she sees it. I need to listen to her on how she sees it, because how she sees it is every bit as important as how I see it, and that is, that's part of being a team and a partnership. We both are equal. It's not I see it this way, so that's how it is. We both can view things differently. Work together to create as many solutions as possible. Pick a couple of them and try them, and then go back a week or 2 later and talk about them. Say, hey, did that work? Or, that seems to work out really well. Like, let's stick with it. Or that's, still hasn't really resolved it. Let's try a couple more. Let's try a different one, or maybe come up with a different list. And that's that. So there's your problem solving lesson, which is chapter 10 in my book. I hope that helps a little bit. I know it helped me. It's just a matter of once you know them, it's a matter of practicing them. That's more important than actually knowing them, I think. Well, I don't know. It's all important, but all right. Until next time.